Tyler Cameron believes Matt James dodged a bullet by not competing on Clare Crawley's season of The Bachelorette, and we're breaking down everything he had to say. Hey guys, welcome back to another Shared News from Home. Tyler Cameron just got super candid and shared his thoughts on the current season of The Bachelorette. But before we break down everything he had to say, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring, and I'm joined by the wonderful Gabby Ganta.
Hi, thanks so much, Fiona.
Hello. So, Gabby, I am so excited to unpack all of these comments. Let's just dive right in because, first of all, Tyler thinks Matt is better off as the Bachelor, which, I mean, the Bachelor's a pretty great position to be in, but still, let's break down what he had to say. He said, quote, "That boy dodged a bullet. That boy is on his own. Just because it's a mess, it's a disaster, you know what I mean? It's nothing about Clare, it's a mess, you know." So really doubling down on the fact that he thinks this season is a bit of a mess. He said just to be able to jump and skip and be the Bachelor. I mean, of course, good for him. I'm very happy he's not there. So he kept it light, he kept it casual, but very clear that he's happy his best friend is going on to, you know, find his own wife as opposed to being a pool in the men vying for Clare's heart. What are your thoughts? I mean, is this just to be predicted, to be expected?
Yeah, I mean, Tyler's his best friend, so he's going to support Matt no matter what. I think he's definitely excited that he went on to be the Bachelor instead of being on Clare's season, only because with our hindsight, we know that a lot of the guys didn't get a lot of time. And we're totally in the shadow of Dale, which I think Tyler mentions Dale. I think he calls him like a gorgeous stallion or something. So even he was like making jokes about how, you know, amazing Dale was and how it would be hard to compete with him. So he was glad that his best friend is in the driver's seat now. So, and we're all excited for Matt's season. So I'm with Tyler on that.
Oh my God, absolutely. I mean, I think Matt James has captured Bachelor Nation in a way that no one really has. I mean, we've never seen him before. He's just been like a fan favorite without even being a presence on any show. So it feels like kind of another exciting twist in and of itself. Like his season is going to be unprecedented. We're going to be in the pandemic bubble. It's a lot of excitement. And I think that if I were Tyler, I would want to watch my friend as the lead. I mean, come on. We want to see as much of him as possible, right?
Yes, totally.
Okay, so Tyler also said he would have loved to have seen a Clare and Matt showdown. This next quote is kind of interesting. I think it's going to be open to interpretation, but he said bluntly, "I would have loved a showdown of Matt and Clare. They would have probably made that first one-on-one date. They would have had to hash it out."
And she ended up putting out a tweet that said, "If you are doing interviews and creating Cameo accounts before you are even on my season, you are in it for the wrong reasons. Hashtag don't waste your time."
Matt would have probably gotten kicked out and it would have been hilarious. What do you think? Is that kind of what he was getting at, that he predicted they would have butt heads, or do you interpret this as something else?
I think Tyler is just poking fun a little bit here and making fun of his friend. I think he knows him, you know, probably the best, much better than we know him. So he's probably one of those personalities that's really strong and vocal and would not let any of what's happened this season go down. So that's interesting quote from Tyler, but another reason why we're excited for Matt to have his own season.
Absolutely. I think Matt is going to kill it as a lead. And as much as we maybe would have loved to have seen that showdown, I much prefer it the way that it is. Tyler also weighed in on some of these conspiracy theories surrounding Clare's season, which we love a good conspiracy theory. I know we've talked about some of these before. First of all, he addressed the thought that Clare may be getting a bad edit. That's sort of a common, you know, critique of certain seasons, certain characters. Oh, the villain got a bad edit, or oh, that guy got a bad edit. But this time, there's talk that Clare herself is the one receiving the not so delicate touch from producers. He said, "No, I don't know. I don't know Clare as a person, so I don't know who she is on or off camera. He continued explaining that he thinks Clare knows what she wants, that she's very decisive, and, didn't really weigh in one way or the other on this bad edit of it all. I mean, back to this conspiracy theory, we've discussed it before. We don't know Clare either, so I don't know that we'll ever have a solid answer on whether or not producers, gave her sort of a harsher edit. What do you think? I mean, do you think they're just kind of doing their best to paint us a picture of the season, or have they taken some shots at Clare, in your opinion, of course?
I think they're doing what they think is the best for the show that they want the viewers to see and to keep tuning into. I think it's interesting that we got this take from Tyler, being a former contestant. I think he has a different perspective that we can learn from because, he's been on the set. He knows how much gets filmed and how much or how little actually makes it on to TV. So for him to sort of be in the middle and not say yes or no, it really could go either way because he probably knows best in that situation.
Totally. Such a good point. Tyler also commented on the age-old question. We've all asked it. We've all discussed it. I think we've argued every possibility here. But whether or not Clare and Dale communicated ahead of filming. He said, I don't know if they met up, but maybe there was some correspondence. I don't know. He went on to explain he believes Clare couldn't help but fantasize about meeting Dale after the cast was first announced. He calls him, as you mentioned, Gabby, a good-looking stallion, which is why he thinks her decision may have been signed, sealed, and delivered early on. So basically, kind of what we've discussed, like whether or not they communicated, she had Google at her disposal. She was able to investigate, but he definitely thinks that there was some sort of attraction to Dale, locked and loaded, before the season began. What do you make of this? What do you make of his take of the conspiracy theory we all want answers to?
Yeah, I agree with Tyler. I think on most seasons, the contestants and the lead, they don't get to know who they're dealing with on their season. In this case, Clare did. So I think just that initial Google or that knowing that Dale was going to be on the show set the foundation for their connection to be so great. So I think Tyler nailed it on the head with that prediction. And maybe there was correspondence. Like you said, we might never know that answer, but as long as it ends in love for Clare and Dale, hopefully it's staying together. I think, no matter how you got there, as long as it happens.
Honestly, it's been such a whirlwind, and the saddest end this season would be Clare risks it all for Dale and then it doesn't work out. So as long as they end up in love and happy, I think as fans of the show, we can take that as a win. Tyler
Yes.
did not only comment on Clare as the Bachelorette, he also talked about what we can expect from Matt on his season. These are some pretty interesting statements. So first off, he said, knowing Matt, he could still come out single. Who knows? He then assured some of our fears, I think, and said, but I think he'll have a fiance. I think this will be everything we want and hope and haven't gotten in a while in this franchise. So Tyler sort of sharing Bachelor Nation's optimistic belief that Matt will be a top-notch Bachelor, which I think we've all come to put him on quite the pedestal. So it'll be a significant bummer if it does not turn out that way. He continued explaining, from what I've seen and what I've read up on, he's got an amazing cast of women. So it'll be very hard for him to leave without one. He said, I think he's going to be all goo goo gaga in love when he's back. And I'm going to have to shake him a bit like, hey, where's Matt? We'll see what happens. So interesting, I think, sort of lens into maybe how Matt is in relationships. Tyler kind of insinuating that once he's in, he's all in. We, of course, have also researched his contestants a little bit, and based on all of the little teases we've gotten, it seems like we're going to be in for some really powerful connections. Matt's a serious guy. He's going to take the process seriously. I mean, I have high hopes. I'm assuming you do as well.
Yes, I'm so excited that Tyler is giving us this behind the scenes look at what Matt is really like before we actually get to meet him for the first time, in his episodes during his season when that finally airs. I think, like he said, he has a great group of women, and I'm confident he'll come home with one of them.
I love it. I couldn't have put it better myself. I think Matt is such a great guy, such a strong lead. And ultimately, I think, Tyler's sentiment of him dodging a bullet is totally right. I mean, Clare's season would have been unique to have been a part of, but I think we're all very excited to see how Matt's season turns out. So in the meantime, you guys, we want to know your thoughts. Do you agree with Tyler's assessment of Clare's season? Are you thrilled that we've got Matt as the Bachelorette? Are you guys counting down the days? Let us know all of your thoughts down in the comments. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell because we will be covering all things Bachelorette and then, of course, all things Bachelor, and you won't want to miss it. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring. You can follow me on socials at Fiona Zaring. And Gabby, where can they find you?
You can follow me at Gabby Ganta.
Amazing. Thanks for joining us, and thank you guys for watching. We will see you next time. Bye.